Hey everyone, welcome to the series. My name is Nancy Chauhan, and today we are going to learn how we can locally deploy our applications with an open source tool, LocalStack. Now, this tool gives you an immediate feedback on your changes without waiting on cloud resources. With LocalStack, you're going to develop and execute entirely on your local machine or in the CI pipeline. So let's discuss that. What are the benefits of deploying, testing cloud applications locally with LocalStack? Now, the first one is you are not blocked. So you might have seen this over your Slack messages. Hey, give me permission for deploying XYZ AWS resources, services, or please deploy my pipeline, etc., etc. And this whole process is lengthy. It takes time. Either it's on Slack, Jira tickets, or you might have seen the text like, hey, I'm running something in staging, so don't push anything. So that's the thing. And with this, you're not going to get blocked. The second one is developer productivity, which is quite important to me. I like everything which can make me productive. So it improves the developer productivity as so many folks can work on features. They can run different tests parallelly in their own local machine or ephemeral environment, or even the CI pipelines. They can just do things parallelly, and they can also collaborate together by sharing their snapshot with CloudBoard. So that's how it increases the developer productivity. Now let's get started. So what are we going to do? We will deploy a serverless URL shortener application. So it leverages the AWS Lambda for business logic, DynamoDB for persistence, and API gateway to provide the HTTP endpoints to access and use the app. So basically, this sample application is a trimmed down version of Bitly or any other software which you might have seen over internet for shortening the URL. As you can see over my screen, this is the architecture diagram of the application which we are going to deploy. And you can find the code for this application and even the blog in the description below. So you can just imagine a situation like this, that you're working in a team with your friend, with your colleague, and they have pushed the code on GitHub. Now you need to test the changes. First, you're going to do some changes and you're going to again deploy it and test whether it's working or not end to end. So we can imagine this flow. Over here, the user requests the API gateway and routes to the Lambda based on the HTTP verb. The Lambda in turn hits the DynamoDB and performs the requested operation. So yeah, that's about the architecture diagram. As we move ahead, there are a few prerequisites. The first one is, and the most important one is, you don't need to worry about your AWS server cost running up because you're not using AWS indeed in this whole tutorial, but we are going to work with all the AWS services, API gateway, DynamoDB, and Lambda functions, but we're not going to use AWS. Now, the second one is we need to install LocalStack and follow the documentations. The third one is clone the app. So let me just share my screen and show you how we need to get started. Okay, so these are the installation docs. First, you need to visit the LocalStack website to just quickly figure out what are the different ways to install LocalStack. So I've installed LocalStack in my machine, and then I'm going to tell you what you need to do next. Awesome. So as you can see my screen, I'm already running LocalStack because I already have the whole setup installed for my LocalStack. And you just have to do two things. First, you need to install LocalStack via the options which I've already shown you. And the other step is you need to export LocalStack API key. So let me just quickly show you how you are going to do that. Okay, so if we go back to the website, we can see the documentation for API key here. So API key is a unique identifier to authenticate your local stack instance. So you can find that in your local stack web app. You need to sign up over here and then you will get an API key. If you follow this documentation, it will hardly take 1 minute to follow up. You just need to sign up and you need to get the API key. So once we are done, we are going to export the value of local stack API key in our terminal. Then we're going to run the container as we were already doing it. Let me just show you that quickly. I'm just going to minimize this panel because it's already running. As you can see, this is the code which I've already cloned. Let me just maximize it. This is the code which I've already cloned. Then we will go inside CDK, and then we are going to go to the AWS CDK local stack docs, because we will have to install this before we move ahead. So this is a thin wrapper script for using the AWS CDK library, because this repository is using CDK. So you just have to run this command, which is npm install -g AWS CDK local, AWS CDK. Yeah, so I've already installed it, as you can see it on my screen. If I do this, yeah, so it's already there. Once this is installed, we are going to run CDK local bootstrap, and we're going to wait for the logs. Awesome. So this has been done. Then we are going to do CDK local deploy. Wow, it took really less time. Now everything has been done. This has been deployed. It just got deployed in like few seconds. Now we are going to finally test that if our application got deployed. So the main purpose of our application is, when you give this application some string, it should shorten it. I'm just going to set the value of URL shortener app URL, because we are using this variable in our code. And I'm just going to give this value to it, which is the API gateway URL. Okay, so I've already said this. Now I'm going to run some curl command. Awesome. So the string is nancychauhan.in. That's my website. And yep. So let's just do this curl request. This is a post request. Awesome. So now I just provided a shortened code for this. Cool. So let's just verify if this has been created or not. So to verify this, I am going to again send one curl request with the shortened code to see if it returned back my string or not. And it did. So this is nancychauhan.in. So I just wanted to show that how easily we could deploy it with LocalStack without using any resources. So on one side, our LocalStack container image is running, and on the other side, we just have to do a few installations, and we can just deploy our application quite quickly. So yeah, this is super important in our community as well, because we are running a 90 days of DevOps program. And if someone wants to just learn how to deploy their cloud applications without actually signing up for the AWS, they can quickly test that in their terminal. So this is a super awesome tool, and I'm so happy to talk about this open source tool in this episode. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have any questions and you just want to brainstorm it with me, you can reach to me. I'm just going to put my socials over there, and see you again. See you next time. Bye bye.